Hey there, friends. Many of you know my story, but you don't necessarily know all of it. About 12 years ago, as I was going through my divorce, I lost my maternal grandmother, and I also lost pretty much all of my friends because of my unwillingness or inability to stay married to my husband. And so I had a lot of loss. And at that time, I was also going through a job change. And ironically, I started selling psych meds. So I was around seriously ill people in Compton and Long Beach. And ultimately, all of that added up to a very severe depression. And so I ended up choosing to remand myself to my parents' care rather than live alone and potentially be a danger to myself. But the reason I'm sharing this story is because recently I've known a lot of people who are going through really hard times. People asking me for my counselor's number here in Pittsburgh. People asking me for my counselor's number back in Orange County. People asking, how do I stay so cheerful when I run my Dale Carnegie classes? And so I'm sharing this story for the sake of anyone who themselves is going through depression right now, or possibly you have a family member who is dealing with depression or some other form of mental illness. And the thing that I realized is so important is that back at the time when I was depressed, is that if you would have asked me what I had to live for, I would have said I didn't really think I had anything to live for, but I might have been hoping that I was going to be living for getting married again, maybe potentially having love, maybe potentially having children. Those were the things that I would have been looking forward to. But what I didn't know is that in the last 12 years, what I would find instead is a love for different activities like rock climbing, like acrobatic partner yoga, like salsa dancing. I didn't know that I would find a second career in training and helping people overcome their issues with self-confidence, with public speaking, with how to be diplomatic. I didn't know actually that I would end up getting injured and have chronic pain, but that would allow me to have incredible compassion for others who have been injured and to learn a technique for healing from trauma that would actually help me even in a moment where on my way to work tonight, I was in a small fender bender and I was able to use the technique to calm myself down and to settle some discomfort that I had in my low back. So to me, the magic is in realizing that even the things that I thought that I had to live for, they weren't the things that I really ended up living for. Ultimately, I live for God. It's my belief that there is a God who loves us, and that is what keeps me going day in, day out, and helps me to remember that there's a purpose to all of this. But it's so important for me to realize and remember each and every day that I just don't know what's coming. And so for anyone who's watching this who doesn't know what's coming, or you think you know what you've lost, or you think you know what you're in the process of losing, I just hope you'll hear my story and remember that you just don't know. Like I didn't know. I didn't know what joys would come from owning my first dog, loving Midas for the last 12 years. I didn't know what would it be like to be an aunt and to love Sarah with all of my heart. I didn't know what it would be like to see spring and fall and all these amazing things in Pittsburgh. I didn't know I would have the courage to move across the country. I didn't know those were the things that I would enjoy living for. But those are the things that I hope that you remember, and you ask yourself, what are you excited about that you didn't even know that you could do? And if you are in a place where you are hurting and you are feeling alone, please ask for help. I know that's what I had to do a lot of times, because when I was really depressed, I needed a lot of people. I could burn out a friend like nobody's business when I was really hurting. And that's why I've built a big support network around me and love a lot of people so that I can spread out my big feelings if they ever come up. But please, if you are hurting, ask for help. Tell someone, tell a counselor, tell a family member, and keep telling those people until they get it and until they surround you. And I do hope you'll tell God too, because he really does love you. and He does have a good plan for your life.